Every single shift in Space Station 14 will end with the emergency shuttle docking with the station. There's an asterisk on that. The emergency shuttle sometimes will not dock, but that's normally because the station is beyond destroyed or things have gone so wrong that there's literally nowhere for it to dock. But most of the time it will dock somewhere. On a normal, more calm round, it will always dock at Evac. Now, if you don't know how to find Evac, that's actually pretty simple to do on most stations. Most stations have pretty good signage, and what I mean by that is that there's typically all these signs that will point in the direction of each department or where important things are at. In this one, it's pretty simple to see. Evac is pointing right. It's always nice to have an idea where Evac is, but in case you don't know where it's at, you can always just follow these signs, and when the emergency shuttle is called, you always got about 10 minutes, sometimes less depending on very certain circumstances, but there's always time to get to Evac before it is called. But there is always time to get to Evac before it actually docks.
The emergency shuttle has been called.
There are a few circumstances where the emergency shuttle will be called. Anyone with command access can go in the bridge at the communications console and call the shuttle. If there is a message with the emergency shuttle saying that it's time for a shift change, that is an automatic shuttle call that can be recalled by anyone, and that's just there to help move the round along, and typically people use it as a vote whether or not you want to go or not, based off of boredom or if the station just can no longer continue. And sometimes the shuttle is called based off certain game modes. For example, if all nuclear operatives are slain, the shuttle will be called automatically. Now let's take a quick walk to Evac. We're just going to follow this sign. This is Box Station. I'm right in front of the bridge, but you could do this on every single station, no problem. Just keep an eye out for the signs. There we go. There's another Evac sign. Keep going right. Well, typically, you're going to end up running into a bend, but what they want you to do is to keep following a certain direction. Stick to the main 3 wide hallways. You'll have no issue. Evac sign's still pointing right, and can't really go many directions in a 2D top-down game, so we just keep going right. Notice all the different departments. Evac is never going to be in the center of the station. It's always going to be on an edge of the station. We'll keep going. And if you ever run into a station map, you can always just left-click on a station map and move around. Here we go. We are right here, this blue dot. Oh, there's Evac. Very simple. These station maps can be identified by a green console on a wall, and it will literally sometimes flash map. You can shift-click it, and it'll say station map. As long as it's powered, you'll be able to find Evac. You also see these fancy timers on most stations telling you the exact time that the Evac shuttle will arrive. I would not recommend standing on Evac for 10 minutes, that's kind of boring, but it's still a good idea to get a reference of when you need to board. Sometimes stations will be so chaotic, you might not even be able to make it here, and obviously I can't come up and like show you 10 million different examples. That's just something you'll figure out in game, but again, I'm just mechanically explaining how to get the Evac and how it works. If Evac is particularly like destroyed, or if these docks for any reason at all get blocked, the Evac shuttle will not dock here. The only way you'll know that is if you can physically see that the docks are blocked beforehand. Otherwise, you'll just have to wait and see where the Evac ship docks. Due to how calm this round is in quotations, obviously nothing's happening. The emergency shuttle will be docking right here. There is nothing blocking these docks, and the Evac shuttle is basically coded to always try to pick these docks. They are specifically labeled emergency shuttle docks, but if they get blocked, it will pick any other dock at random. So you need to pay attention to, well, whether or not you can visually confirm that the emergency shuttle is there or not, and if it's not there, you need to pay attention to your radio. If a round has been very crazy and very intense, emergency suits not only help you get the Evac if everything is spaced, they will help you survive on the Evac shuttle. If there's any form of danger, these suits are made for a reason, they protect you for a reason. These suits actually can fit in your backpack in a 4x4. You don't really need to take much else with you, the round's ending, and unless you're especially if you're just looking at a video like this, you're probably newer to the game anyway, I would highly, highly recommend that you keep your emergency EVA suit on you. And even if you just keep your survival box on you, well, the survival box does indeed help you survive. Inside, there is your emergency oxygen tank, or nitrogen if you're a slime. I think that's in the game now. Anyways, you could just put your emergency tank on your belt. You can put your breath mask on your face, and you could just always left-click on items to put them in your hand and press Z to equip it to your item slots. If not, you can always just press I and in the bottom corner. I forget where this UI is, honestly, on the different UI, but either way, pressing I will extend your inventory. And here you can always just left-click items onto their respective slots. Again, if the round's really chaotic, you might as well just put the emergency suit on now. If things start getting spaced, at this point, all you have to do is look at the top of your screen and press your helmet button, And if you just for some reason are not comfortable doing that, you can always right-click yourself and toggle your helmet that way if you do not wish to use a hotkey. Just options for you. Also, you want to make sure that you're breathing, so you want to make sure that you click the toggles internals button. And if you have your oxygen tank either in your hand, on your suit slot, on your pockets, anywhere that can be directly, readily accessible, it cannot be in your bag. You will know that you're breathing when the toggle internals button turns green and says on. That means now we are protected from space, we are breathing our respective air, we're not going to suffocate, and we'll be good for the emergency shuttle ride.
The emergency shuttle has docked with the station.
Once the shuttle has successfully docked, it will tell you in chat, no matter what, even if the radio is down, that what side of the station is docked to. Typically, it will dock at Evac, and at this point, we could just walk into these doors and walk straight on. Two things I would highly recommend. I would very much recommend that you stay away from the entrances. And typically, not all evac shuttles are made the same. This evac shuttle doesn't really have any form of protection or fire locks. If the windows break, the entire thing is going to be spaced. This is why I heavily recommend that you are prepared for this and you have your emergency suit on you. Oftentimes, though, you can find additional emergency suits on the evac shuttle, but depending on the population of your server, you might be battling a bunch of other people for these, so it's best to be prepared beforehand. Also, you really don't want to turn on your air, especially if it's an emergency air, until you're actually needing to breathe. Otherwise, if you run it the whole time, you're going to run out. However, though, if you get access to a big oxygen tank, you could just put it on your back at this point on your suit slot, because, as you can see, there is even a sprite for the oxygen tank going on the back of the emergency suit. Another thing you're going to end up seeing pretty often on these evac shuttles is people like to keep these doors open, and you can keep these doors open by wedging a locker into the doorway or just standing in it. I would not recommend standing in it directly yourself, but if you just wedge a locker in these doors, they won't close when the shuttle leaves. So at this point, certain shuttles actually do have screens telling you when it's time to go. There will be a message in chat when there's only 10 seconds left as well, and when that 10-second timer tracks, you really want to sit down. You could just left-click a chair to sit down. You could click-drag yourself onto a chair to sit down. You can even right-click a chair and then buckle yourself to sit down in a chair. Me personally, I click and drag. I don't know why. Clicking's definitely just faster. And if you need to get out of a chair, you can right-click a chair. You can then click unbuckle. I'd say the preferable way is you just click the buckled icon on the right-hand side of your screen. The emergency shuttle will launch in 10 seconds. The doors will attempt to bolt and close. If you're sitting down, you will not get knocked down. However, anyone else that is not sitting down in a chair or buckled like in a closed locker will fall on the ground for a few seconds. I have seen many of people die due to this. Now, let's simulate a bomb going off. If a bomb goes off and it spaces the floor, especially on a shuttle like this, the whole shuttle will end up getting spaced. However, you have options. In our case, we're totally fine. As long as the bomb didn't directly kill us, we're in an EVA suit, we're breathing oxygen, we're chilling. However, let's imagine the scenario where you just could not get access to a suit or oxygen. I am taking pressure damage because, well, this area is spaced. It is oftentimes you will see something like this. This is a holographic hollow fan. If you stand in it, and this fan was actually placed before the evac shuttle was spaced, I'm breathing just fine. I'm not dying from cold. I'm not dying from pressure. If these are placed central on the ship, these are pretty safe places to stand, and you'll often see Atmos techs place these down before the shuttle actually leaves. As you can even see, I even warm back up. Your second option, and I don't encourage this anymore because it's very easy to get pushed out of the shuttle due to this, you can stand in these tiny fans. These tiny fans are basically the hollow fans, but they last forever, and this is why people wedge the door open. However, due to the fact that pushing in the game is very weird now, it is very easy for somebody to walk up to you and instantaneously push you out of the airlock with zero hesitation and nothing you can do to counter it. You will just basically fly off into space and die. So the 3 steps I'd recommend: have EVA protection. If you can't have EVA protection, find a hollow barrier. If there are no hollow barriers, try to find a tiny fan. And if you can't find those, sometimes you just have to accept that you are not going to survive the evac shuttle. The evac shuttle is a naturally very chaotic part of the game. A lot of antagonists often wait until the evac shuttle is actually in transit before they do anything. If somebody plants a syndicate bomb and you're on a smaller shuttle, there's really not much you can do other than die. I know it's disappointing. This is a pretty frustrating part of the game for a lot of players. Especially if you're new, you might just not understand what the hell's happening. But a lot syndicates in this game often have kill objectives to kill specific people, and what better time is there to kill people than to have them all in the evac shuttle? So planting a bomb in the evac shuttle kills a ton of people. That's just the way things are. But anyways, I hope this guide potentially helps you survive on an evac shuttle. I know this is a pretty general guide, but this is definitely aimed at newer players. Thank you for watching.